Hey there nation, welcome to the show. We help you to play miniatures wargaming on a budget. It is I, Commander CheapSkate, and now it's time for another edition of Tales from the Underhive. This is Tales from the Underhive Battle Report number 38. It is a gang fight scenario that is fought between my friends Brother Grimm of the Pelago-Slam Kings of House Golaith versus my other buddy Old Death of the People Eaters of the Scavvies. So for this week, because we're anticipating the brand new launch of the new Necromunda game from Games Workshop, and because we're really excited for we're going to be spending this week dedicating most of our videos from this channel to Necromunda. So you'll be seeing a lot of hobby side videos showcasing the various gangs that we use for our videos. We got some more hobby side videos showing the terrain that we use as well, and of course the battle reports for this week will all be focused on our latest series of Necromunda reports. Now, sadly, we will be retiring this series. The series is called Necromunda, the Tales from the Underhive series that we run for our Necromunda campaigns. We'll be wrapping that up here with 40 videos in total, which is amazing. It's like a lot of videos that we're just thinking about. A lot of videos. We've done 40 of them so far, so we'll end up with 40 videos, and then we'll relaunch the new series called Necromunda, the Underhive Wars, what we'll call it, for the next, starting next week, because of all the new changes done to Necromunda, and we're using new Necromunda rules in order to do that. So because of that, this is our third to last battle report for our Tales from the Underhive series. Once again, between the Pelago-Slam Kings and the People Eaters. We're to play some background music real fast, show you the gangs as well as the rosters. If you want to see exactly what each gang is packing for this one, please feel free to check it out at your own leisure. So with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, let's get this on.
Man. Game over, man. It's game over.
Alright, so now let's talk about the scenario rolls real fast. We're playing a good old-fashioned gang war type scenario, so it's pretty simple. We're fighting on a 4x4 area. Both gangs will be squaring off in their 8-inch deployment areas, and pretty much the goal of the game is to make your opponent either destroy them all or make them bottle out. Pretty straightforward gang fight. These guys are just fighting for experience points and for territory. If your opponent loses 3 more guys than you do, you actually steal one of their territories as a reward for doing so, and that's pretty much how the scenario works. Whoever bottles out first is the loser, and of course the guy who's last man standing is the winner. As you can see, we're fighting on a 4x4 table, of course. We got the Slime River in the middle, running through the middle of the table. We got the MTA terminal as well as the Parkway Properties building, as well as gantry walkways and bridges that kind of crosses the Slime River. So with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, let's go ahead and close up to all where the deployment is. Alright, so let's talk about deploy real fast. As you can see, my buddy Death deployed his People Eaters on the near side of the table. My buddy Brother Grimm deployed his Pelago-Slam Kings on the far side of the table. Pretty much a straight kind of lineup format. As you can see, both of them are fighting a gang fight scenario, so advanced deployment isn't really necessary. So with that being said, we're going to zoom into each of the deployment areas and talk about where everyone's located at. Alright, so let's talk about the People Eaters deployment real quick. As you can see, this is deployment on his left-hand side. He's got kind of like this kind of interesting wedge-shaped formation going on with his gang. As you can see, he's got his first little fire team here. He's got his zombies to soak up the bullets being deployed up front. Right behind them, of course, he's got his 2 more of his Scavvies. I believe that's Sockethead and Beaker, their names. And of course, he's got his brand new Scaly, that's Snarl, that guy's armed with a scatter cannon. He's right behind them as well, lending support. So very tough-looking left-hand flank. Meanwhile, in the center of the table is the majority of his forces are located. As you can see, he's kind of organized his army into various fire teams. On the left-hand side, he's got another 5-man fire team with 3 zombies, as well as, I believe that's Hoodie. And right next to him, of course, is Roar number 2 with that really deadly spear gun. And the center there, you got the Nerf Herder, as well as Nerf number 1, 2, and 3 as well. And then, of course, on the right-hand side, you have his leader, Bloodwing, as well as Longcoat Killer. So that's what those guys are located there on the right-hand flank. And then off to the side, using the Infiltrator deployment special rules, you get the rest of his gang as well. I believe that's the Oculoid, I believe is who that is, as well as Bloodrazor, as well as Binbag. They're just kind of channeling it here on the right-hand side of the table until the second turn to be redeployed. Alright, so that being said, we move on to the Pelago-Slam Kings. As you can see, they're kind of deployed on the far side of the table as well. Looks like my buddy kind of went with a kind of like a heavier type of movement going on here on the right-hand side. As you can see, he's got Grizz as well as Stuka. Those are his 2 heavies, are with bolt guns as well as plasma cannons. In front of him, he's got the Scalp Taker as well as the Headhunter over there on the right-hand side. In the center, looks like he's got Porter and Gage as well as Craze as well as, what's the other guy's name? Maka, that's his name. Those are the gangers there, armed with auto guns and bolt guns, kind of the center of like a firing line to kind of like advance forward. And on the left-hand side of the Slime River, he's got the rest of his gang. As you can see, he's got like a little 2-man fire team going on. Up in the front, he's got the Hammer Boy. Right next to him, we got Trick the Shrimp. No, sorry, not Trick the Shrimp. The Trick is his name. Right behind him, you got Rager, and then you got Flesh Sticker on the right-hand side, making kind of like an assault element. And then behind him, he's got his 3 members kind of providing support. He's got Craze, who's armed with a plasma gun as well as a maul. It's got Blitzkrieg Bob, who's armed with his grenade launcher. And I forgot the name of the last ganger. That guy's armed with a flamer real quick. Let me see. Let me take a look at my notes. Oh, that's Whack-A-Mole. That guy's armed with a flamer as well. So pretty strong looking kind of left-hand flank for his army as well. So with deployment over, we go to the top of turn number 1 for the People Eaters. My buddy O'Death secures the initiative on this one. As you can see, this photo is taken directly after the move phase. All he really does is just start sending his guys going forward as quick as he possibly can. He kind of runs them all up. His job is trying to get engaged with his opponent, try to take him on pretty quickly. He's playing a Scavvy gang, so shooting is not really a concern for his because he's got really bad ballistic skills. He's more of an up close and fighting kind of guy. So as you can see that he kind of spreads out his forces in kind of like a straight line kind of type of formation, sending his fire teams forward with his plague zombies acting as human shields. And as you can see that he also deployed his Bloodwing as well as the Longcoat Killer on the top of that gantry walkway there on the right hand side. Here's a close-up of his left-hand forces heading towards the MTA terminal, getting ready to try to flank the Pelago-Slam Kings. And here's a close-up of his right-hand advance with all of his fire teams as well as the zombies and the Nerf Herders as well as the mutants kind of making their way up towards the Parkway Properties building. Not much really occurs at that, so because that, we go to the bottom terminal 1 for the Pelago-Slam Kings. This photo is taken after the move phase. As you can see, my buddy Brother Grimm just kind of moves up his forces kind of tentatively, actually. He runs up the Headhunter as well as Scalp Taker at the top of the gantry walkway there on the right hand side to kind of take cover positions for firing. Same thing with his heavies. He moves up Grizz as well as Stuka up to the second floor of the gantry walkway on the right hand side to kind of lay down some overwatching fire. He then moves up, not runs, but actually moves up the rest of his shooters there in the center part. That's his guys armed with autoguns and bolters to the bottom of that gantry walkway, taking cover there as well. He also runs up his assault squad on the left hand side, moving those guys up as quick as he can, and also at the same time runs up his specialist armed with a flamer as well as a plasma gun. However, when it comes to Blitzkrieg Bob, he only moves him up 4 inches because he plans on shooting with him during the shooting phase. Here's a close-up of his forces on the right-hand side, taking cover along the gantry walkway and getting ready to put themselves into some overwatch positions, delaying some pain down onto the People Eaters. And here's a close-up of his left-hand flank moving forward, getting ready to assault the main battle line of the People Eaters as well. During the shooting phase, Blitzkrieg Bob takes aim with his grenade launcher, opens up the frag grenade onto the unit of plague zombies there. He has to aim for the nearest target first. As you can see there, it hits the very first plague zombie, but because the blast tip is so large, he also managed to hit all 3 plague zombies all at one go. So pretty successful landing shot for my buddy Brother Grimm. Unfortunately though, when it came to the recovery phase, the only injury he managed to put on was a flesh wound onto the plague zombie, dropped his weapon skill down to 1, so because of that, the rest of those plague zombies were perfectly fine and remained unscathed. And that pretty much makes it the shooting phase on this part. Alright, so that takes us to the top of turn number 2 for the People Eaters. This photo is taken after the move phase. As you can see, pretty much he starts advancing forward, trying to get engaged pretty close to the Pelago-Slam Kings. He sends up his plague zombies moving forward as well, trying to act as human shields as well. He occupies the MTA terminal with his gangers on the left-hand side there, so that way they can start laying down some long-range fire, as well as covering fire as well. I believe those guys ran, so because of that, they don't really get to go very far. At the same time, he moves up his Nerf Herder as well as Nerfs, as well as Bloodrazor, Rar number 2, up to the corner of the building there, so that way they can start laying down some long-range fire. And of course, he runs up both the Bloodwing as well as excuse me, as well as Long-Cold Killer to the top of the Parkway apartment buildings using his flying ability. At the same time, he also deploys infiltrators on the top of the gantry walkway right next to the Scalp Taker and the Headhunter, and he gets ready to throw down some heat. Here's a close-up left-hand flank of the various Scavvies occupying the MTA terminal, getting ready to put some covering fire down on the left-hand flank of the battlefield. And here's a close-up of the Plague Zombie as well as Roar number 2 getting ready to put some pain down onto the Goliaths. That's absolutely crazy. I fear that guy. Roar number 2 is the stuff that my dreams are made and nightmares are made of because of that freaking spear gun. As you can see on the right-hand side there, you also got his nerf herders as well as the his nerfs taking ready to enter inside the Parkway Properties building through that blast hole right there on the side of the building. And at the top, we got a close-up of Bloodwing as well as Long-Cold Killer getting ready to take on the top level of the Parkway apartment buildings, getting ready to put down some sniper fire at long range. And finally, as you can see here in this close-up, we have Blood Razor as well as the rest of his gang using the Infiltrator special rule. You got Hoodie as well as Binbag and Blood Razor on the top of this gantry walkway, getting ready to flank both the Headhunter as well as Scalp Taker as well. So we kind of just see how that plays out. And during the shooting phase, the Infiltrators open up on both the Scalp Taker as well as Headhunter as well. Originally, Blood Razor tries to take him out with his bolt pistol, but unfortunately was unable to wound those guys. At the same time, though, Hoodie as well as Binbag launched their Tox Bombs. Both those guys are carrying that, so as you can see there, we got the lower blast template launched right there, launching their Tox Bombs. They're kind of like their one-use weapons. However, Tox Bombs are very, very deadly because they are strength 4, and they linger. They stay in that one spot, making that area kind of unusable. So it's kind of interesting to see how my buddy Death decided to use that tactic. In the end, he did manage to wound both those guys. However, they're just kind of laying down with incapacitated, just kind of laying down, just kind of bleeding out. Unfortunately for my buddy Death, he will not be able to engage these guys in close combat because if he enters that blast radius where the Toxic Cloud is, he too will fall victim to it as well. So we kind of just see how that plays out. So there they are, just kind of laying down out of action for right now. Meanwhile, here on the left-hand flank, the spear gun basically destroys everything. As you can see in this photo, what happens is my buddy Death takes aim with Roar number 2 and actually takes aim with the spear gun. But when he fires the spear gun, because this team of Goliaths were stacked up in a column formation, this shot not only goes to one guy, it goes to 2 guys, it goes to 3 guys in total. It was ended up happening. It was like the perfect 1 in a million type shot that the spear gun works. Because according to the spear gun rules, what happens is when you fire the spear gun, when it hits the first guy, it causes strength, of course, maximum damage on the strength and damage. And if you can hit that guy flies back d6 inches from being hit with the spear gun, right, from the harpoon of it. Well, if he flew back 4 inches, imagine the second guy right behind him. You also causes damage as well. It's a lower strength value and a lower damage, but it still causes a problem. It hit, wounded, and also took that guy out too. Rolls another d6 for this guy to fly back another d6 inches, and managed to hit the third guy in the back. And not only does he do that, he also managed to wound him and take him out of action as well. So as you can see, all 3 guys got catapulted across the battlefield by 1 shot from that spear gun. It was absolutely ridiculous looking. As you can see in the close-up, he managed to cause 5 wounds with that 1 shot. He managed to take down Hammerboy, also take down Rager. Either both of his wounds in the process of doing that. He also managed to take out Crank as well. When it came up for the roll-up, none of these guys would have action, so that was kind of a nice part, but these guys are currently down. So all 3 guys have just been rocketed backwards, just trying to survive from the wounds they got from being shot with that freaking harpoon gun. It was absolutely devastating how that happened. And to make matters worse, as you can see, they basically had to take leadership tests because some of their guys just got knocked out like that from a really high powerful weapon. So you can see here both, what's his name, Flesh Dick, he basically panics and runs back 11 inches trying to get out of the hell that's basically coming his way. So that part was kind of crazy as well. As well as, what's the guy with the flamer again? I keep on forgetting his name. I'll hold up, let me look at my notes again. Let's see here, Flamer. I can't find his name on my list. Oh, Whack-A-Mole. So Whack-A-Mole, he also panics as well, and he also runs Whack a couple of inches as well. So as you can see there, 2 members of the gang are running away because they saw their 3 friends get skewered alive by a freaking harpoon gun. It was absolutely crazy how that worked out. So that being said, we go to the top of turn number 2 for the Pelago-Slam Kings. As you can see in this photo, because 5 guys are down, and 2 more are panicking. My buddy Brother Grim has to take a bottle test. As you can see there, he rolled perfect boxcars for Bob, which means that he fails his bottle test. And so, just like that, at the top of turn number 2, this battle is over. And there it is, you guys. That brings us to the end of the game. The Goliaths bottled on that battle report. After seeing that 1 in a million shot, taking 3 Goliaths out with a spear gun, I can see why that would be so demoralizing, why they kind of broke out. So because of that, that ends the battle report very, very quickly. Oh, man, I love that spear gun. I mean, I'm afraid of it, and I think it's a kind of a cool idea how deadly that thing is because it's just neat because Scavvies don't really got much going for them. So it's kind of cool seeing something like that work out for them once in a while. That was a 1 in a million shot. That was absolutely crazy. And with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go to the post game because this battle report is now officially over. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, now it's time for the post-game for the after-action report. Ended being a victory for Odeth. So as we always, with the post-game, we talk about the injuries, advancements, territory, money made, merchants, as well as records and new gang ratings for each of the gangs. So we're going to start with the Pelago-Slam Kings. Unfortunately for the Pelago-Slam Kings, they lost this battle report. In the end, they ended up having 6 injuries. Rager, Crank, Trip the Trick, Hammerboy, the Headhunter, as well as the Scalp Taker. Luckily for Brother Grimm, Crank, Trip the Trick, as well as Hammerboy, the Hunter, and the Scalp Taker made full recoveries, so those guys are perfectly fine. However, Rager, he got captured by the people eaters, and in which instead of trying to like save that guy, what ended up happening is that my buddy Brother Grimm tried to, of course, try to buy back Rager because Rager's a pretty good fighter. But my buddy Odette told Brother Grimm to take a hike. Instead, he turned Rager into cannibal stew, so that way he killed that guy, cooked him up, and that way all of his friends can eat that guy and have to worry about paying credit costs for reconstituting his forces. So Rager, you will be missed as you're being devoured alive by a gang of radiation mutants. For advancements, only one guy advanced out of this battle report. That was Crank. He got +1 to his wounds. From the territories, they ended with a profit of 75 credits. At the merchant, they hired a new ganger named Prophet Jones. He's over the shotgun, and he was costing the gang 70 credits. They didn't take the remaining 5 credits and put it in their stash. The Pelago-Slam Kings' new records at 3 wins as well as 8 losses. Man, this guy has my buddy Brother Grimm has a really bad record. And his new gang rating now is at 3,050 points. Alright, now it's time to talk about the victors of this battle report, the People Eaters. For the injuries, they had no injuries because none of them got shot. For advancements, they actually had quite a bit of advancements on this part. Bloodwing got +1 to his weapon skill, and War number 2 because he caused 5 wounds. He learned the Berserker Charge as a skill, as well as got +1 to his weapon skill. Nerf Herder number 2 earned the Evade skill. Nerf number 1 got +1 to his tax, and Nerf number 3 got +1 to his Ballistic skill. The Oculoid, he got +1 to his Initiative. Beaker got +1 to his Ballistic skill, and Bimbag got +1 to his weapon skill. In the end, for the territories, they didn't really worry about feeding their guys because they turned Ranger to cannibal stew. So because of that, the Scavvies kind of survived on that part, and they're really about worrying reconstitution costs. They did manage to scavenge 21 credits from the wastes from them when they're just kind of going around looking for things to sell. But because they caused so much damage onto the Pelago-Slam Kings, the gang war rules stipulate they have 3 times as many casualties as they do. They get to take a randomly selected territory. So the Pelago-Slam Kings lost their Spore Cave, in which case the Scavvies, looted it, so they ended up with 120 credits on that for a total of 141 credits. At the Merchant, they spent 10 more credits to make sure they get another D6 worth of Plague Zombies for the next battle. They then hired a new Scavvy named Half-Face number 2. He's armed with the Auto Pistol Maul as well as Tox Bomb for 70 credits. They then also bought 3 sets of Tox Bombs for 60 credits apiece and distributed it throughout the gang, and then took their 1 remaining credit and placed it in the stash. The People's Eaters' new record now is at 5 wins and 5 losses, and the new gang rating now is at 2,972 points. So that's good to do for this one, ladies and gentlemen. As always, please feel free to like, comment, and or subscribe. Your guys' input is invaluable as always. And check us out on Instagram and Google Plus for all the latest and greatest what's going on for hobby. We will catch you guys on the next one, you guys. You guys stay classy. You guys peace out.